Hello and welcome to our deep webinar. I am Anastasia. Thank you so much for attending. And if you're watching this in replay, welcome as well. Now, let me know if you're a beginner or a pro and have you worked with deep systems already. I see that so many of you tuned in already, and it's so exciting. We have California, England, Maryland, New York, Portugal, more New York, Kenya, wow, Denmark. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for attending today. Today we will have the special hashtag, which is #DeepWebinar, and you can use it if you will be sharing some of your works, if you want me to see it and like it and maybe have some feedback. You can use it in stories, in your feed, whatever you like. Also, if you are attending our webinar for the first time, let me run real quick through the rules. So be active, ask questions, take screenshots because there will be lots of information squeezed in a short period of time, and no spam or advertising, please. If you don't know me yet, let me introduce myself. My name is Anastasia. I have 15 years of experience and 12 as educator. I'm an award-winning nail technician. I did cover nails for Nails magazine, and today I teach approximately 4,300 students. So this is the nails I did for cover for Nails magazine. This is me at Las Vegas. By the way, I will be attending IBS Las Vegas in a month, in June again. This is my work at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, and I think my biggest accomplishment is accomplishments of my students. So they won multiple awards on different competitions. For example, this one is in Hong Kong. This one is the biggest competition in St. Petersburg, Russia. And this is one of the recent ones, East Long Beach in California. Now, let me know where you're from if you haven't yet. So we have here Texas, Netherlands, Trinidad and Tobago, Michigan. Wow, the geography is really inspiring. So let me guys know if you tried using deep systems and if you are actually offering this service to your clients, because I remember these deep systems for a long time. They really been there on the market, like I clearly remember, like 15 years ago, but they were not as popular. And I think recently, maybe like 3 years ago or something, they became popular again, and more companies started creating, like rebranding these deep systems, so they are popular now again. So what will you learn today? I will share which products do you need for deep powder application. I will run through advantages and disadvantages of deep technology. Also tell you differences, because there are actually different systems and they seem like they all the same, but actually they're not. And also we will talk about how to remove deep powder from nails, and I will do the demo, natural nail overlay, and also I will show you ombre and marble designs, because let's be honest, most clients, they really want something unusual, some designs on our nails, and we can actually do something using only powders. Tina saying, I'm certified but just new with deep systems. I have watched and loved many of your videos. You're talented, better to get tips and learn from. Thank you so much, Tina. And I see so many familiar faces and names. Thank you guys so much for being with us for a long time, and welcome to those who are new here. I'm sure you will like it. So besides all of this program, also we will have online course specials, Q&A session at the end, and gift at the end. So make sure you will stay with us. The webinar will take approximately 1 hour to 1 hour and a half, and then you will get the secret link with a gift. So I think it's time to reveal what the gift will be. So this is the special table we worked for like a week. This is comparison of different brands of deep systems, their price comparison, their jars, how many colors do they have, what is the contents of their kit, and with all of the links to their starter kits. So I think it will be helpful, especially for those who are just getting started and looking for a product to work with. Hello, Germany, Memphis. So some of you are watching from the YouTube, hello there, and you can also watch from any platform that you like, but if you want to get the link to this gift, you need to log on through nailsproacademy.com, because this is where we will put the link. Okay, now let's repeat the terms. Some of you may just getting started, so let's just clarify that we're using the same names. So this part, the pink part of the nail, is called nail bed, and the white part or the clear part that is not connected to our skin is called free edge. Okay, that's pretty simple, right? This line on the top is called cuticle line. This term is actually very important. We will be talking about it a lot today, because I believe this is one of the biggest problems nail technicians are facing when working with deep powders. And also we have sidewalls, two sidewalls on both sides, which are these lines that we have on the sides. Usually everything is not as perfect as on this picture. You know, they can be like this, they can be uneven, but we still call them using the same name. Hello, hello, Italy, Greece, welcome. Okay, so there are two types of deep powder systems. They are air cured and light cured. And most of them, majority, I would say maybe 95%, are air cured. So you do not need something special to cure them. The air will do all the work. But still, there are some brands that offer light cured. So for air cured, we will talk, and I will demo this one in a few minutes. You only need all the products for the system and nothing else. For light cured, you will also need LED or UV lamp. Actually, among light cured, there is NSI Simplicity or Lishat. I'm not sure if I pronounced the name of this brand correctly. Well, if you just read it, it's Lishat. They have the system called GLE, so this one is also light cured. Now let's talk about the products you need for deep overlay. So the first one you will need is called Prep, which is the same as dehydrator. And if you happen to have it already, let's say you are doing gel polish overlay, or you have dehydrator from your acrylic or hard gel system, it will work. So honestly, you do not need any special prep most of the time. But make sure it is dehydrator, not primer. And if you're not sure, this is how you can check it. You just read the ingredients list, and it should contain ethyl acetate or butyl acetate. Yeah, it's right here. See, ethyl acetate. This is how you know if it's dehydrator or not. Okay, so then you will need a base coat, and unlike dehydrator, this base coat should be the special base coat. Unfortunately, you cannot use the one that you use for gel or for acrylic or for regular nail polishes. It's a different one. So you need to have a base coat for deep systems. Then we will need to have dehydrator. Oh, I'm sorry, we already have dehydrator. We need to have activator. Sometimes they come in a spray. Sometimes it's just, you know, the bottle with a brush. And usually most brands just have the steps. So this is another one that we will need. Also, we will need the top coat, which once again, unfortunately, cannot be used from different system. When I was getting ready for this webinar, I tried many different top coats, including, you know, this air cured top coats, because they really feel and smell and seem like the same, but they're not. I mean, this one kind of worked, but the surface was not as shiny anyway, so unfortunately you cannot use any different top coat. And that's it among the major products that we will need. Also, you will need some additional accessories such as file, buffer, orange wood stick. Well, this yellow is probably not very comfortable to read, so there is top coat on the yellow line in case you cannot really see it. So normally they're like 5 steps: prep, base coat, deep. Oh my God, I forgot about the most important ingredient, of course, is the deep powder itself. So besides all this product, we will need to use the powder. And speaking of powders, I get this question a lot, whether you can use powders from acrylic system or not. And some brands do offer such products. For example, Lechat, they have powders 3-in-1, and you can use them for design, for acrylic, and for dip. Maybe there are more brands out there that offer the same. And I tried, using them for acrylic and vice versa. So most of the time, you can use deep powder for acrylic, to do some design, but usually it doesn't work in the opposite way. I mean, if you have like tons of acrylic powders, they do not necessarily will work with your dip systems. But you have to try. But keep in mind, if it looks like it works, I mean, it's basically the powder, right? The same substance. It doesn't mean that it will have all the qualities, all the advantages of the system. So even though if the product looks the same, it doesn't mean they will work the same. Okay, so that's all you need. That's not much. And we were talking about the air-cured system. If you will use the light-cured system, you will also need UV or LED light. So what are advantages of deep overlays? It's pretty easy to use, like honestly. It didn't you can actually watch my video if you're on YouTube. There is the video I tried gelish dip. It was my very first time I tried it right on the camera. It was pretty easy, like really nothing complicated there. For air systems, you don't need UV or LED lamp, and it's pretty fast because you don't need to waste time while you're curing it, which makes it faster. But among all advantages, there are always disadvantages. For example, if you are just getting started with dip systems, you need to have some colors for clients to choose from, right? You cannot just have red and white and that's it. You need to have some color selection. So you need to invest some money to get some good color selection. It takes longer to remove compared to, let's say, sock-off gel overlay. It usually takes more, like 20 minutes. And the third one is just my opinion. It is not suitable for some nail types. For example, I had a client, she had a very thin, overfiled, damaged nails, like super overfiled, and I would not recommend to use dip systems on those because just imagine they're overfiled, they're like super thin, they're all red, and that means they're very flexible. And deep overlay is pretty hard. It's almost like acrylic, just like a rock. Now imagine it is on the top of this flexible, super thin, damaged nail plate. So what will happen? The nail plate will continue being flexible as the client, start doing some things. And this hard overlay will not move together with this nail. And what will happen? It will start lifting mostly on the sides first. So I would not recommend it to this kind of nails, as well as for hyperhidrosis, like overly excessive sweat around the nails and on the nail plates. But once again, it's just my opinion. It doesn't mean that it will not work for like all system or so everybody, but I will not use dip system if I will have a client like that. Okay, we have more people joining. Thank you so much. And we have quite a conversation here. I was going to work when I got the reminder. Yard work can't wait. Thank you, Jenny. Yes, everything can wait when we need to do pretty nails, right? Okay, so it is time for demo. So if you just joined, that's a perfect time. So I will use gloves that I try to use most of the time. And I have my model right here. So before you start any service, we need to prep the nails, and the preparation is pretty much the same as you prep it for gel overlay, for sock-off gel overlay. It's not quite different, but it's still important, because if you will not clean this area, from the skin. If you will not clean the cuticle that's spreading across the nail plate, you will definitely have lifting in these areas. So we just removed the old product, so we'll still have a little of the old base coat here remaining. So I will just slightly file it. I don't need to file it all the way down, and actually you can use the same technique. You see, if nothing is lifting, then what's the point of filing it all off? We're flying. We have a question from Olivia. How to avoid lifting in the middle of the nail bed? Well, lifting is really like a big problem. In the middle, usually it happens when something is not right with the structure. So you need to do a thin application near the cuticle. You need to do it thin near the free edge. And really like make sure you do not have any gaps here on the sides. Also, it's important to not make it too thick right here, because if you will, there will be too much pressure right here, so the product will start separating in the center. Also, if you have or your client have old product on the nail and it's lifting, you need to file off all the lifting parts before you do a new one. There are actually many reasons for lifting, and one of the most common is something is wrong with the preparation. Okay, so I will leave a little bit of old product right here. As you can see, it's not lifting, so that means it will not really bother us or anything. I will do a slight preparation right here with electric nail file. It is not necessary. If you do not use this technique, you can just skip this part, but I will just show you how we can do this. For super thin nails, do you suggest gel nails? Yes. For the nails I recently described, like damaged or like extremely thin, I would recommend soft gel, like sock-off gel overlay, if they want to do overlay. Yeah, because sock-off gel is way more flexible and it will better work for these nails. For normal nails, you know, that do not have these problems, anything will work. Okay, so I set it to 18,000 rotations per minute, and I will just slightly clean the skin. I will not do the full manicure, and actually we don't need it here. You see, only this part. So what I'm doing, I'm cleaning the cuticle that's spreading across the cuticle. You can also do it with a file, but with electric file it's just a bit faster. Then I will switch to the opposite direction and do the same on the other side. So preparation is a lot like any prep for any enhancement or overlay. Just remember that our goal is to clean the nail plate. It should be dry and clean. It should not have any skin on it, but do not overfile. Filing too much is also will not do any good. Now you need to shape the nails at this moment, and when shaping, also there's an important part that, you know, some nails, especially when they're thinner, after filing they might feel sharp. So for better adhesion, you need to actually soften this line. You can do this with 180 grit file, or you can even use buffer and do it like that. This is also important, so the product will not chip from the free edge. And also I think it's pretty obvious that when you file a lot, then you'll have this residue from the nail underneath, so do not forget to clean it as well, because if you won't, well, we're in trouble. We were shaping now a little bit, but if your client is like, no, do not touch my length, okay, I want to keep this length, it's fine, do not touch it, but you still need to slightly, you know, like update, clean the free edge, because all the dirt, all the oils, they are always under the nails. Okay, so we need to clean it as well. Now, that's all with filing. Make sure you clean the dust. And then we are going to use dehydrator. And since most of this nail, it has old product on it, it will not make too much sense right now at the moment for us. But I will still apply it because we have part of the natural nail right here. And do not forget, if there is some length on the nail, that you need to clean it underneath as well. So it's better to use some lint-free napkin. Well, we can actually turn it around so you will see. You see, there was something left over we didn't notice. So if you do this, you will not only make sure you cleaned all of those leftovers, but you also cleaned, like dehydrated this inside part. Okay. Now, when you're using dark or neon colors, it is better to use clear color first, so it will not be like you're putting black right on the bare natural nail. But if you decided to use some pastel or light colors, it's okay. Right now we have some leftovers of the base coat. You see right here. So this is the nail, this is the old base coat. So once again, it's not necessary to use any clear product right now. So we can start like immediately working with the powder. Now I will take the base coat. Now when opening the base coat, it is very important to keep it clean. I don't have any examples anymore, but there was one base coat I couldn't open up because it was just stuck. So if you accidentally had some leftover on the jar, just clean it immediately. Okay, so different brands offer different techniques. Sometimes they explain the application that you need to apply to 2/3 of the nail, right? And then you do the cuticle work, which makes sense because it helps you to build the apex. Sometimes I follow this advice, sometimes I don't. It really depends on the nails. I believe you cannot really use the same technique all the time. Now let's take a look on the side, on the nail, on the curve. So you see her nails are pretty like standard curve. I mean, we would say ideal curve that we need. I mean, it's not flat, it's not ski jump, it's not bumpy or something. It just goes a little bit up, a little bit like this. So ideally we will need just 2 thin coats and that's it. If her nails would be very flat or even ski jump, I will definitely add more right here. So first coat, I will leave a little margin from the cuticle, and with the next one, I will go closer. Now let me know if this makes sense, that it really depends on the nails, on how you will apply the product, in which direction. So now we will apply the base. Leave a little margin from the cuticle. Make sure you apply it all over and dip. It's your first time? Yeah, I can tell she's excited. Okay, so now we will clean the leftovers, and to clean the leftovers with a brush, you need to use a very light, fluffy brush. Make sure it should not be like nylon or something, because we can actually damage our enhancement. So you see what happened? We have this margin near the cuticle. I also left a little margin right here on the sides, and that was on purpose, because if we will do it with 2 coats, we will get a pretty bulky application all over. Well, once again, it depends on the nail, but with this one, we mostly wanted to add it in the middle. Okay, that's it. Now we are going to repeat the process, but this time we will apply base coat closer to the cuticle and to the side walls, but not too close, okay? So you do not want to apply it all the way up here. Now, if you have some uneven surface imperfections at this moment, do not worry. It's not a problem, we can fix it. And now apply a little closer, but not like on the cuticle. a little closer to the sides and a little closer to the other side as well. And dip. And we don't really need to keep it there for long. It's not like when it's curing in the lamp or something, right? It all happens pretty fast. Well, it depends on the product. Some base coats do it faster, some slower, but still it's pretty fast process. Okay, so sometimes with some colors you can apply another coat. I really don't think we need it now, but sometimes, you know, you just see and you're like, well, I probably really need more intense color at the moment. Yeah, I think we can stop at this point because I really wanted to show you a pretty thin application. And if you will decide that you need more, you can even add it later. Now, make sure that you clean all the excess powder. And we all are about to be covered in glitter. And then we need to apply activator. Now this part is a bit different for different systems because sometimes you need to apply, well, you always need to apply activator, but sometimes you also need to apply base coat. In some systems you need to apply top coat, and I really always try to, you know, follow the instructions of the brand you're using. And as for, so okay, we applied activator. Now we need to wait about 2 minutes, and we are working only on one nail, so we will wait. But when you're doing all set, usually you just apply it and it will be almost ready on the first one. So now at this point, there are different options depending on the system you're using. You can start buffing it, or for example, gelish dip, they require applying base coat after this one, which makes sense because after application the surface is a little bit uneven, but it depends on the color. So what I do, like I said, I try to always follow the instructions on the manufacturer, but it also depends. If I see that the surface is pretty smooth, I mean it's okay, usually I do not use anything. If I see that the surface is really bumpy, it also depends on the color, because within one brand, some powders are just smooth and, you know, the particles are really tiny. Some colors, especially with like glitter, they are more grainy. So in this case, you might want to cover it with something. Gregory is asking, does dipping take more or less time than traditional acrylic application? And if so, would you adjust the pricing? Well, the thing is, I don't really do acrylic overlay, and I believe it's not really popular. So when you do acrylic extensions, yes, it's acrylic extensions longer because you need to glue tip or you need to use form. But if you will like comparing, let's say, dip tip and dip overlay or acrylic overlay, I think, well, dip will be faster. So I would charge less for dip systems because it's really faster and it requires less skill, because acrylic is much more complicated. Okay. It is better to dip natural nails or just as good as tips? I want to try with tips. FYI, I'm not a nail tech. Denise, so yes, if you want to do extensions, you need to use tips. Okay, so what activator does? It activates the ingredients inside the product and then it fully hardens. So if you will not use activator or will not use enough of it, when you will buff, you may notice that the product is a little wet, like it's not fully cured. And you may probably experience it. Sometimes we accidentally do not apply activator like on the sides or miss some spot. And then when you file, you will actually notice it. Which is not a problem because we will apply it again, but it's better to apply it from the first time so you will not waste time on, you know, redoing. And also when you apply activator, make sure you apply enough that the nail actually looks wet, you know, not just slightly touch the surface. It needs actually to saturate into the enhancements. Okay, I will quickly check what's going on the YouTube comments, and wow, there's a lot going on, and we will come back. Can you use this system over gel and acrylic product with which is left on the nail? Oh yes, Debbie, absolutely. We just did that. There was some gel left over, and you can absolutely do this with any product as long as it is not lifting. I pour mine over, so none of that too. Yes, actually there is another technique when you have the jar right here, and then you can use you know, a spoon or a tip and apply it on top. And that's another technique that I usually use this with light cured systems. I actually think it works better because when you dip the base that is not that cured yet, it will not really, the powder will not be there evenly. Okay, so now we need to slightly buff the surface. And at this point, usually everybody is really, you know, focused on the surface to make it smooth, which, I mean, the surface is already pretty smooth. But honestly, I think what you need to look on is this area, cuticle and sidewalls. Make sure that they're really thin and that you cannot feel any gap between the product and the natural nail. Once you can't feel it, you need to keep filing. So if electric nail file works better for you, you can use it now. But please be careful, be very gentle near the cuticle area, because most problems when products start lifting from the cuticle area, from the sidewalls, they happen because here the product is not thin. So this is how you check it. When you touch it, well, it can be your nail, orange wood stick, anything. You see, so this is the nail, and then we go up. So if you feel something that doesn't let your orange wood stick or your nail to smoothly go up, if you feel like it's a little stuck in the product, you need to file that off. And it works both for the sidewalls and for the cuticle. So that's why if you go too close to the sidewalls when doing the application or even flood them, there's no way you can do this without your client being in pain. Do you do feet? Well, I personally do not do pedicures, so I do not, but my opinion is that dip system is not really for feet because it's a very hard overlay. Well, maybe if you're lucky enough to live in a hot country when you do not really wear any closed shoes, only open toes, maybe that's fine, but for closed shoes, the dips as well as acrylic is not good for your feet because it's too hard. And, you know, in a closed shoes, there's moisture, we can, you know, have a little damage on our nail, and it will be locked always with this hard product. But that's what I'm sharing. This is only what I learned from our pedicure educators. Like I said, I do not have really my own opinion because I do only hand nails. Okay, so now it's pretty smooth. I would slightly work in this area a little bit. I just want to show you how you can do this with electric nail file. So you can use basically any bead as long as you are sure that you will not touch the skin. So I recommend something that with this shape, or I have another carbide. And so you see it's almost like a needle, but it's not really sharp. And when you work, you need to keep about this angle. You see, so you're filing off only the product. If you will work like this, what will happen, you can easily file off too much and touch the nail as well. So be careful, we're basically only removing the product. I do not really need to do this right now, but I just want to show you how it works. My name is Cleopatra. Wow. And I have one question. Can we make nail with gel and deep powder? Well, if you're talking about like we do hard gel extensions and then we do powder and deep overlay on top, then yes, you can. But I'm not sure if it will make sense. And if you're thinking about actually mixing them, you'd better use light cured system like NSI Simplicity. They have gel-based base coat and top coat for this system. But you can use, mix the system if you're talking about like have these extensions and then this on top, absolutely. Okay, so I will turn the speed at about 18,000 rotations per minute, forward mode, and this is how we work. So what I want to do is just slightly file off this part. And I have red abrasive mark, which stands for medium fine, so it's pretty soft. So you see what I'm doing? I'm filing only the product. We're not touching the natural nail here. Let's do it a little bit right here. You probably notice that when you file or when you work, you see some white line here, like the dust line. So as long as you see it, it usually means that you still have, you know, this border. Okay, so now it's perfectly smooth. So now we're like, basically we sealed the nail. Let's take a look from the side. If you're watching us for a while, you may remember that how this nail did look from the side. So we basically did the same, like this was the curve of the nail, and we basically just applied 2 thin coats, and that's it. We did not really change anything. If the nail was flat or ski jump or crooked, we could fix it as well. Okay, now after buffing, remove all the dust and you need to apply activator again. Now when you apply it, do not be greedy. Make sure you apply enough, like the nail actually should look wet, and make sure you apply it all over the surface like this. So it should look wet, and wait for a couple minutes, and while we wait, I will read your comments. When doing the dip with dark colors, it always looks cloudy. How do I fix that? Does actual application or the top coat looks cloudy? If you're talking about the cloudiness like uneven, so one part has more color and one not enough, any dark colors are more complicated to work on. So when you apply base coat, it is very important to apply it thin. If you will apply thicker, then just picture this. So you apply it thicker than you're supposed to, and when you do this dip motion, wherever you use the 45-degree method in the jar, or you apply powder on the top, it doesn't matter. It still can move this base coat a little bit, and it will absorb on this part more and on another part less. I hope it does make sense. So it's very important to apply thin and to apply an even layer. Also, I noticed some nail technicians apply it like this. So they put the brush and they're like, you know, do this. Well, maybe that's exaggerating, but that's what they do. So what happens, they have more product on the free edge. And once they dip, there is this thick part on the free edge happening. So you need to make sure that it's perfectly even, that you dip it, you know, without pushing, and that's it. If you're talking about the cloudiness in the top coat, then we will get to it in a couple minutes. But top coat application also has to be a little different from what we do like with gel top coats. You need to apply it ideally with 2 or 3 strokes, especially the first coat, let it cure, and then apply the second one. Most techs here charge more for dipping because it's more expensive for the products here. Thank you. That's actually, yeah, I would actually like to learn that. How much do you guys charge for this service compared to acrylic? Well, to tell you the truth, in Russia, where I live, this service is not popular at all. There are some nail techs, however, that do offer these services, but it's not as popular as, you know, gel overlays. That's why, you know, there's not much products here, and actually I had trouble finding the base coat because, you know, just not many companies import the dip system. Okay, so the dark colors seem to have a white granule in them that makes them look cloudy, almost like little bubbles. I see. So I also heard this tip from some brands. They specifically tell you that before applying, you need to shake the powder a little bit, like to fluff it up. And yeah, I actually had that as well when I used the dark brown color. So I figured out that it is better to really, you know, try harder and to apply it so you will not need to buff a lot. Because as you start buffing, more and more these white bubbles come out, and, you know, application just doesn't look as good anymore. But yeah, I think I know what you're saying. I had this problem with some colors. It's almost impossible to do it this way. And sometimes it's just colors within one brand. Some colors are okay, some are not. Okay, so now let's seal it with the top coat. So you need to think of this top coat as you think of nail polish top coat that cures in the air. So the faster you apply it, the better. Okay. Okay, so remember to, well, this is the short nail, so it's not going to be hard. But with long nails, honestly, I really, sometimes I struggle, like I really have to pay attention. So it is better to take, like a drop from the jar, apply it, and the brush is pretty big, so just 1, 2, that's it, okay? So it was a little hard for me because, this habit of applying more and more like we do with the gel top coats is really strong, but with this one you cannot do this. Treat it like a nail polish top coat. Okay, now we need to let cure for like a minute or 2, and then we can apply the second layer. When you do the full sets, it's not a problem. You just apply it on all 10 nails, and that's it. Oh, hello there. Why do you need activate the second time? Yeah, that's actually a great question, and chemically I'm still researching this subject. But the thing is, when we were buffing, well, ideally you just slightly buff only the surface. But sometimes when you want to fix some imperfections, you buff more. So by buffing, we get into deeper layers of the product. So by activating, you're like ensure that the full product, that the full surface is fully activated, i.e. hardened. Actually, this step is also, like I said, sometimes some brands recommend after activator to use top coat, let it cure, and only after that to buff it. But they always recommend to use activator before the last step, before the top coat. I couldn't join the web page, so I still here, no problem. Do you have an opinion of the Cuccio and Chiara Sky Dip systems? Well, I noticed that Cuccio is actually pretty high rated. I haven't tried by myself. And as for Chiara, yes, I do like this. They have great colors. I think the price is it's like medium, but it's pretty affordable. And by the way, if you would like to have the whole comparison of the different brands, all you have to do is just to stay with us for a while, and you will get this link with a full comparison from the different brands. Okay, now I think it's time to do the second coat. And after first one, as it cures, you can probably see it's shiny. Well, and we have the glitter powder right now, but still not as shiny. But when you apply the second coat, so do not apply too much. Ideally 2 thin coats. And once again, 2-3 strokes, not more than that. And that's it. Let dry, and then we can use the cuticle oil, and the enhancement will be finished. Can I use UV top coat? That's a great question, and unfortunately you cannot. I honestly tried it with the different UV top coats, including this one, my favorite by Super Nail Supervisor. It's not like, actually I can show you. So here I used it like 3 coats, I believe. So you see it still looks a little grainy. I mean, it does shine, but it doesn't do the same. It doesn't actually seal the surface. So I cannot speak for all brands. Maybe you will be able to find one that will work, but these top coats they use for the dip systems, they're a little different from the regular air cure top coats. Have you tried the gel base coat method instead of traditional glue and activator? Young nails recommend gel base, then dip, then cure and repeat. Yes, I actually did for example, Anastasia Simplicity, they have their base is gel based, and also in Russia this method is very popular. We call it gel plus powder. So we use base coat for gel, and then we apply powder, which can actually be acrylic powder, doesn't have to be deep powder. And yes, it does work great. You get this hard surface. The only thing is you need to use the color that's really intense enough. Now let's carefully smoothen the cuticle with the oil, and that is it. So if you wanted to get more intense color, then we should probably have used something like this color that she had previously on the nail, before the glitter. But like I said, I really, and all of our clients, they really prefer, this thin application, not bulky, not anything. So that's why most of the time I try to do it something like that. Okay, so this was the natural nail overlay, and I will quickly look through your questions and we can continue with the designs. I have some input on the UV top coat. I have used the deep coat. After it dries, I would add a UV top coat as a better shine. Yeah, actually, shine with dip systems, I have this problem, had and still have a little for a while, because sometimes you apply even 2 coats and it's still not as shiny. So yeah, I think what you're saying, Kis, is that you use like UV on top. And yeah, sometimes I do feel like it, really, like I just see it's not shining enough. I really want more shine. So what I notice is that if you use a very light buffer, if you really buff it to a high shine, that it also helps. But yeah, sometimes, honestly, I use the 3rd coat because I just want it to shine better. Or you can use, yeah, UV top coats. They have this light, like blue, color in it, so it really enhances colors like white. It makes it colder, which makes it look better. Okay, so I will need a tip for our design. We will not be using the model for this one, and I will show you how to do an ombre and marble. So with dip systems, really, if you have lots of foils, glitters, you can do all the same designs that you do with your gel nails. You simply buff the surface and then you do this hand painting. Then you can use decals, rhinestones, anything you want. But I know that some people were looking for designs specifically made of dip systems, and there's actually a few that you can do. Now let's use this light blue color and some glitter. Okay, so I will use, and actually, if you are, for me personally, base coat was a big issue because when I was traveling, then it's not possible to open them. So when you want to practice or to do, just colors and you don't want to waste the base coat, you can actually use the regular nail glue, the one you use for tips. But this is only when you do like work on the tips, when you want to show examples to your clients, okay, not on the actual clients. But it will work the same if you just want, to try the color or to display the colors that you have. Okay, and by the way, I was using the SNS base, and the reason I used this brand is because that's the only one I could find here in Russia. I also have gelish base, so they have 2 base coats. One is regular and one is thicker consistency. Okay, let's start with this one. So I try to hold the nail or the tip as close to the jar as possible, so we will not be like you apply the base coat and you're like, where's the jar? How to dip in it? Just make sure it's ready. And then we apply. So now we just do one color application, dip. Oops. clean the remaining. Well, with the tip, it's definitely easier than with the client. But anyways, so when you're working with the powders, do not forget to close all the other jars that you do not need, and then with a light fluffy brush, remove the excess. So with solid colors, it's usually a bit more complicated than any glitter or transparent ones. So you need to pay attention when applying it. Now we can apply it right away. Sometimes you can apply the base coat and then you notice that the brush is full of this color. So what you need to do is to have lint-free napkin right here and clean it. Also, some companies, they offer brush restorer. For example, the Gelish have one, and I have another one by Revel Nail. You can use this one as well to clean your brush, but it's better to do it like immediately, not after the brush is so ruined that you cannot do anything about it. Now apply. And I think you will like this method because it works not only for dip systems. And apply. I am currently about 35 minutes into the webinar. Oh, don't worry. You can watch the replay, and actually I think the most exciting part is right now. Anyways, or maybe not, I don't know. Okay, so that's it. We clean the extra with a brush. I remember when I used to do this, most of the clients at this moment, they're like, oh, I wish like we could leave the nail like this because it looks, so matte, so satin, the surface. Okay, now we do not need this color anymore. And actually with dip systems, yeah, you should not forget using some paper or tissues underneath so you can easily clean your table. Now let's do the color. So I decided to use the silver one, and this is the dip powder. Thank you. But you can also use the actual glitter for it. For example, if you don't have glitter dip powder, this one is by Revel Nail, and it will still work because I'm sure most of you have lots of glitter and you have to have something right to use it. I will be using this fan brush, and you can do any kind of ombre. Like we can do it from the cuticle, we can do it, yeah, let's probably do it from the cuticle because this line is not very good anyways, so let's fix it. So I will explain before I will do it. I will apply the base once again, but not all the way down, about this way, because we will have more glitter here and less here. So this is how it works. The closer your brush is to the nail, the more powder you will get as you will start doing this. The further the brush goes from the tip, the less powder will go on the surface. So this is how you can get an ombre. Okay, and yes, you don't need to apply one color necessarily in two coats. You can actually apply halfway and halfway another. And just with the glitter, I believe it's better to have some solid background. Okay, so I apply base coat up here. Then we take the glitter and start applying. So you see, first I'm close to the cuticle, and then I just go further. Do not worry about the particles that will go on the part where we don't have a base coat. It will simply not adhere to this part. Okay, well, this is it. Now, to remove, it's better to move it to the side, because when you do it like this, some of the particles may still glue. Well, not anymore, because the time passed, but if you do it like immediately like this, you may have more glitter than you planned on the surface. All right, well, that's it. Now, I think you all know what we need to do now. We apply activator. Then we wait and just slightly buff the surface, and that will be it. But I recommend you to always try to make the surface as smooth as possible, so you will not need much buffing, just a very light touch. But you need to really let it cure, so while we're waiting, let's probably do another design, right? Okay, now let's do marble. And I believe marble is one of the popular designs, whether you're using acrylic, gel, nail polish, and there are tons of different ways to do this. So I will use the gelish tray. It's actually designed for pink and white. They even have, so you see this side says round. You probably cannot see it. Well, it does say round. So if you dip it from this side, you will get like a round smile line, and from this one, you will get an oval. But you don't need to use specifically this tray, it's just I have it, so I decided to use it because it's convenient. But what you can do is just to take a piece of paper, like white piece of paper, fold it in half, and then just use this side, this part. And it's a single-use perfect tray as well. So just, I want you to show, you know, that you can really use anything. I will use blue, and let's use white, I guess, yeah. So first I will take a little white. So this, well, you will see, this method is a bit wasteful, so it's better not to pour too much, and ideally if you need to do the design like to, let's say, few nails, not just one. Well, that's actually probably even more than we need. Well, white on white, do not worry, you will see it in a moment, what's going on there. So now, I was just using tip, you know, as my tool. So now with the flat part of the tip, I will make the surface even, and then I will take the blue. It's called A Little Bird Told Me by Anastasia. That's a pretty nice electric blue color. And I will use the tip. We can use the fan brush as well. Let's actually use the fan brush. It will be better. And then take a little bit and then just randomly apply it on top. And it's up to you how much you want to apply it, whether you want your marble to be more white with a slight blue in it, or to have more blue. Then you can use any tool, like orange wood stick will work again. As you can see, this is a really multi-purpose tool, and slightly mix it, but not too much. If you will, you know, mix it like all the way, like it will be like a light blue color, which by the way you can if you want to achieve it. But if we are striving for marble look, then do not move right here too much. So when you will dip it, you will not get this pattern that you have exactly on the surface. You will go a little deeper, right? That's why if you want more dark color in it, you want to add a little more and slightly mix it again. But anyways, I used to try to make it, you know, some certain way a lot, and then you dip it and it still turns differently. So there's really no point to try too much. Okay, I think that's enough. Now let's take our tip, and before we do the design, we need to have some background. So once again, it's up to you if you want to have more light color design, then we will probably want to have a white background. Well, the tip is already kind of white, but we want the bright white one. So let's apply the base coat. and dip into the white. And let's leave the moon opened. Okay, so now we have a bright white background. And the background can be any color, but it's better if it matches with one color of the marble. Okay, now we don't need white anymore. Clean the excess. And if the color didn't go like super evenly, that's not a problem because we will have a design on top. Now, let's bring our tray. No, I think I like this part better, so maybe let's move it. So you can also do something like that. And then I will apply the base coat all over the surface, or you can do it only halfway if you want to leave some of part of the tip white, and then we just roll it like that. Then the process is all the same, and this is what we have. If you're not happy with the marble that you have, then you can repeat it. You can apply the base coat, and then we will have more. But I think that's enough. You know, with marble, as you look at it every time, I mean, it will be different anyways, right? It's not possible to fully repeat it. And then we do all the same. We remove the excess powder and we apply activator. And do not throw away the powder that you have. You can then use it on another nails. Now again, we need to wait, and while we wait, let me show you some finished examples with this technique. So like I said, every time it will turn out differently. And by the way, this marble is created with a powder that is sun activated. So on the sun, this red, well, coral color turns into dark magenta. Unfortunately, I cannot demonstrate it now. It's evening here, so we don't have any sun anymore. And also it's nice when you use like like some mood changing colors with this design. Yeah, and also when doing marble design, when you will buff it, it might slightly change because you might buff the upper layer, and usually it will still look nice. Okay, so if you have any questions, just feel free to ask them. I love playing with dip powders. There are so many techniques to use. Yes, you can actually do a multicolor ombre. You can use, and when I started working with dip, I realized that there are so many ideas I used just with regular acrylic powders or with color pigments, with dry pigments. And then I realized that I can do all the same with dip powders because they're powders and they have colors. Now, after working, do not forget to clean, to close everything. If it's base coat, I recommend you to clean it as well. And before buffing, do not forget to close the powders, because if the dust from filing will get into the powder, they will not work as good anymore. They might have these bubbles and white residue. You can activate the color with your lamp on. Yeah, if I had it. I didn't take it with me here today because it was a dip webinar, so I didn't plan to cure anything in my lamp. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately I cannot like show it to you now. But yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, actually the sun does this UV thing, right? Okay, now first one is definitely cured, and as you can see, there are really no bumps or really something that we need to buff. So what I will do, I will just take the buffer, or you can also use the block buffer, because you know, this kind of buffers you can just slightly push them so they will take the surface of the nail, and literally with like 2 or 3 strokes buff the surface. Well, with glitter you want to be careful near the cuticle so you will not buff it all off. Well, I use the actual dip powder, but you can also use, like I said, you can use the regular glitter, but if you do, after that you would want to seal it with a base coat again. Otherwise, you can just file it all off at this point. That is it. Clean and once again, activator. I have a client looking for soft marble design like this, and I wasn't sure how you're going to achieve it. Actually, there are also different techniques and ways to achieve it, but I think this one is just the simplest one. You're going to also do the background, use the fan brush, and then remember how I showed you with the ombre, like you move closer and further from the nail. So you can just do different strokes, and as the powder will fall on the surface, but you need to do it really fast because the base coat, dries super fast. So that's why I think, with this method in the jar, it's easier. Okay, now after activator, we only will need to seal it with a top coat. So for the tip, once again, to not waste like expensive products, you can use a regular nail polish top coat just, to save the product. But it's up to you. You can even use gel top coat just, to do the demo. I believe this one is ready as well. So let's slightly buff it. This one actually does look like we spilled some blue powder into the white one, right? And I don't know if you can see it from the tip, but it's really like super thin. I just wanted to show you that even with the design, you can make it super thin and not bulky. So I used 1 coat of white and 1 coat of white mixed with blue. So basically, it's the same as we would use just 2 coats of color. That's what ideally I think the application, the deep overlay should be. And then if you feel like you can continue decorating, you can do some hand painting right here or just leave it like that. Apply the activator and that will be it. And by the way, when you apply the activator, you can also see how the nail will look like. Because you probably had it when you do some glitter, for example, and your client is like, well, that's what it's going to be. But then you apply activator and it looks wet and all the glitter starts shining. And they like finally can kind of see the final result. Oh, happy Jenny, somebody's celebrating happy birthday. Wow, that's really like touching. Thank you for spending your birthday with us. Well, part of your birthday. That's really great. I hope you will have a great time for the rest of the day. Okay, now let's seal with a top coat. Remember, well, with this length, it's more complicated to do just 2 strokes, but still we'll try 1, 2, 3, 4, almost. So literally I was counting because, after gel top coat, it's such a challenge to apply it only with 2 strokes. Hey, I'm Joy from Guyana, South America. Hey, okay, I will seal this one and then, guys, I will run through your questions. So if you have more, this is the perfect time to ask them. This one looks something like winter, right? Well, anyways, I think all neon, all contrast colors will look just great with marble. And as you saw, it's really fast. Like you don't need to hand paint it. It's definitely a faster way to do marble this way rather when you have, to hand paint something. Okay, so now I will slightly wait and then seal it with another top coat. And while we do this, I have a great question from Olivia. Is it hygienic to use deep powder? That's a very good question. And honestly, I still do not have like a full answer to this because, I mean, the more I learn, the more experience I have, the more I realize that I don't really know anything. I mean, seriously, it requires some real research, so I would really like to talk about this with Doug Schoon next month when I will come visit. But from what I can say now, let's talk about this. So when you apply prep on the client's nails, you touch their naked nail with this brush, right? Right, we all do. The same as we prep the nails for acrylic or gel application. Well, maybe you use the lint-free napkin then, then you do not do this, but still most of us do this. Then we apply gel base coat, and once again you touch the client's nail. And then we use the cuticle oil. Some cuticle oils like this one, NSI, it has this well, this kind of applicator, so you do not really touch the skin, but if you use the one with the brush, you still touch the skin. So what I'm saying is we're still touching our client's surrounding skin pretty much a lot, right, during the service. So with the dip, it's kind of the same. But I live in a country where everybody is like obsessed with hygiene and sanitation, and one of the reasons is because we're really big on, you know, we do this really deep Russian manicure. We use electric files, we use cutting implements to clean the cuticle and everything. So that's why what you can do is to use a separate tray. There are so many brands, and even it doesn't have to be brand. You can just buy a single-use small tray, pour the powder right there and use it individually for this client. Because there are still some clients that always do the same color. I had a client, she was like red, red, always red. Well, they do want different colors every time, so that's why you will need to have a separate few trays for them. Also, another method is when you use something and you pour the powder on top of their nail. But if you do this, yes, you're not dipping the nail into the powder, but you will still, I mean, the powder that will be on their nail will still come back to the jar. So it's really complicated question, and like I said, like my opinion is like using individual jars would be a great solution here. But if a client doesn't have any open wounds, and dip their nail into the jar, I believe it's really about the same as when you apply nail prep on their naked nails, because we touch all clients with this brush, right? So that's my opinion, and I was also actually curious if it's possible to make it somehow fully hygienic, but I guess the only way is to really take some amount of powder, use some separate jar, and use it particularly with only this client. But if you do this, if it would make sense to also use individual brushes for prep and, well, maybe even for the top coat, because with the top coat, yes, we do not literally touch the nail, we only do the surface, but still you can accidentally touch the surrounding skin, right? Okay, I hope it was okay answer, because like I said, it's really like important questions, and I'm still in the researching this one and looking for ways to make it fully hygienic. And I believe this is one of the reasons it's not really popular in Russia and Eastern Europe, is because the sanitation here is a bit crazy. I love dipping for natural nails, and my clients love it too. Hello from Georgia. I'm working on how to save money than going to the salon. Oh, okay. So if you would want to do your nails at home, then dip system, yeah, it would be one of the solutions. But I still, when we were counting, like, is it make more sense to do your nails by yourself or go to the salon? The only problem here is you probably would not want to have just one color, right? You want to have different colors. So today you would want red, tomorrow you will want pink, and then you will want silver. So you will have to buy all these powders, and I think you will not really use the whole jar only by yourself, because they're just too much. I believe it's worth like at least 30 services. So in these terms, it will, money-wise, will still make more sense to go to the salon, because they have all the equipment, they have all the colors there, and you will not need to buy it anymore. But once again, that's just my opinion. That's what I would do. Okay, now let me quickly check the YouTube here. Wow, we have more birthdays here. Oh my God, guys, that's so crazy. Happy birthday to your son. Okay. Where do you buy most of the products? Well, mostly I work directly with distributors. So let's say gelish, I get them from Russian distributor. Kiara Sky, I got them directly from Kiara Sky at the show. Revel Nail, I got directly from revelnail.com. But also I use Amazon And also I use many local Russian shops, which I believe will not be very helpful, their names to you, but if they will, just send me some private message. I can also share their names. Okay, now let's also talk about removal. So dip system is a sock-off system, so you can just sock it off. You can also file it off, and also you can combine both methods, which I usually use. So you can file off the top coat, the first part of the enhancement, and then you sock off the rest. So socking off takes a little more time than soft gels, but it's still fully soakable. Whether you use sock off or combine method, I still recommend to at least file off the seal, the top coat, because it will take less time. When you file off the top coat, you might also want to use some harsh abrasive such as 100 grit, because this way you will scratch the surface, so the acetone, the solvents can get faster and deeper into the enhancement. So I mean, buffing the surface will not make sense, right? So for removal, you might want to use some harsh abrasive. Okay, so we already did that, the ombre and the glitter designs. Now let me guys know if you enjoyed it, if you learned something new from this webinar. Like I said, this is a pretty simple service. I believe it's one of the simplest, so there's really nothing too complicated, but if you have some questions or struggles, just feel free to share. All right, so now let's summarize. Secrets of long-lasting enhancements. What you should do to make sure that the product will stay there at least 3 weeks. First one is cuticle care. And by cuticle care, I do not mean necessarily that you need to trim the cuticles, but you need to keep the area of the nail plate clean. I showed you some part of it today. Then it's preparation. You want to make sure that the nail surface is clean, that you cleaned it underneath, that you shaped it really well, which is shaping. Then the application, you might want to apply a really thin layer of the base coat. Do not apply too much, and try to apply it as even as possible. And the last one is cuticle and sidewalls. If you watched my natural nail overlay demo, I believe you know what I'm talking about. So each should be thin at all times. Do not leave this bulky side on near the cuticle as well as on the sidewalls. You may leave a tiny margin from the cuticle and the sidewalls, and when you seal it with the top coat, then you can go closer to the cuticle, so you will fully seal it and it will be all shiny. All right, so I showed you deep overlay, and now you know how to do natural nail deep overlay, ombre, and marble design, and I will be super happy if you will use the hashtag deep webinar whenever you will be sharing some of these things. Now, if you're new, and I noticed that some of you are, then besides this enhancement, you also need to know what kind of tools and products you need to use for manicure, how to do natural nail anatomy. And for those who are watching us for the first time, I would also like to share the information that we offer online classes, so you can learn manicure online from the comfort of your home. So let me explain it a little bit more. So the class that today we have a special price for is called Manicure 101. It's suitable for beginners and pros. After my classes, most students start working with clients. Some of them do this like immediately while they're working. So we have Kisa here with us today. She is also a teacher at Nails Pro Academy. She does the grading, so she will work with you as well. So in this class, we have 38 lessons, 10 assignments, including 4 practical tasks. It includes natural nail shaping, square and almond shape, different kinds of manicure, nail polish application, natural nail anatomy, and basic knowledge for beginners. So if you want to get started with manicure, this is something you would want to have at your start. So how it works? It's not like webinar, it's not like we're here now talking. It's the actual high-quality pre-recorded videos that you can watch at any time, anywhere, from any device, like at home, while you commute somewhere else. So you will have access for this class for 30 days. And also you will get a feedback from me or Kisa. For example, you did the assignment and then we check it and realize that something is wrong with this. So then you need to redo it and send it again, which I believe is the most important part of any education, right? Because when you just watch and learn, it's great, it's fun, it's inspiring, but the most important part is to do it by yourself. I always tell my students, whenever you do this stroke with your brush, with your own hand, that's the moment when you realize and you actually learn how to do it, not just by watching. So then you will need to pass an exam, do your final assessment work, and when it's approved, you will get the certificate. So the price that we usually charge for Manicure 101 course is $119. And we also have Pedicure 101 is the same course, but it covers the pedicure, and the author of this course is Dr. Schultz. It's one of the best pedicure specialists that I know. And also today you can have a bonus, which is Deep Systems Comparison and Glossary of Nail Terminology. So today we have a special 25% off. So instead of the price, which is $119, you can get it only for $89. Manicure 101. Or if you want to have manicure and pedicure, you can have them both for $179, which is lower than our usual price. But it's worth for a limited period only. So if you want those specials, all you need to do is to click on the red button under this video and then you will make an order. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes left and I'm happy to respond on the last questions. Questions. You're such a great teacher. I love these webinars. Thank you so much. I was hoping you should do a French nail. Allison, I'm sorry, French was not in the plan for our program, but to tell you the truth, like honestly, I mean, if you know me, like I love French. I can do it like almost with my closed eyes when I use acrylics, when I use gel. But for Deep System, it was a struggle. I had to do French manicure for my exam for Deep Educator for Gelish, and it was the most stressful moment in my life. So now when somebody wants the Deep with the French, what I do the overlay and then I hand paint the smile line because, I mean, it's just so much easier. So I'm not saying it's not possible. It is. Like I showed you this Gelish special tray for it, but I really prefer for French the NSI system because it's light cured and you can hand paint the French and then cure it. Because with Deep you need to be super careful and your client has to be able to stay, you know, like keep the finger without any movement, because once she moves or shakes her hand, the smile line is ruined and you need to file it off. Okay, thank you. You are very welcome. Patricia, Jenny, Claire, Helen, thank you so much. Oh, Santiago, Chile, awesome. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Waiting for Manicure 101. See you there, Esther. And I think I see most of our students here, right, Kisa? Most of you are already studying with us. Not into Deep Systems, but I couldn't miss one of your webinars because you are the best. Oh my God, thank you so much. I remember your comment. You said that you will not be there because you hate Deep Systems, but you still came here for me. Thank you so much. That, like, oh my God, that's super touchy. Okay, so if you're not following us yet, this is the best time to do it. Here is Instagram of Nails Pro Academy. Then there's my Instagram, we have our Facebook, we have YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to it because we have so many cool things going on right now there. And do not forget about the hashtag, which is Deep Webinar. I would love to see your marble, ombre, or any works using the Deep. Thank you guys so much, and I almost forgot. It is time to get your gift. So if you're at nailsproacademy.com, all you need to do is to click on the button, yes, button or link under the video, and you will get it. So there's the comparison of most popular brands of Deep Systems, their prices, their kits, their colors We did it just for you, and if you are only watching through YouTube, then you can quickly hop off to Nails Pro Academy. It will still be there for another hour. So, by the way, this is how it looks, and I marked the most expensive one and the cheapest one, so now you can get a glance. So what's OPI is the most expensive one, and EasyFlow is the cheapest. So thank you for watching, and I would love to see your works with the webinar hashtag, and see you in our future webinars. Remember, never stop learning, and I will see you soon. Bye.